Welcome to Empowering Vibez, the show that supports you to create an extraordinary life. My name is Hannah Wiss, and I'm your host, life coach, certified yoga teacher, and founder of Yoga Junkies, a yoga lifestyle brand for on and off the mat. In this show, I will talk with inspiring guests who share their knowledge and story about topics such as mindset, mental health, mindfulness, healing, passion, and spirituality. I will also be guiding you through meditations and teach you the tools and tactics to heal your heart, follow your intuition, connect with your true authentic self, and learn how to turn your dreams into reality. So, are you ready to shine your light?
We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers, stronger than ever. Never say never.
Hello, you beautiful soul. I am so excited that you are here, and I'm so grateful for your time and that you and me are now spending time together for a wonderful, wonderful episode. My intention for 2023 is to be more authentic, more vulnerable, and more raw. And the reason why is because I believe we don't only learn through knowledge, but we also need to hear people's stories and their hardships to see that things are actually possible. That it is possible to get over depression, that it is possible to overcome mental health struggles that seem to never end, that it's possible to completely change your life if you're unhappy and unfulfilled, and that we can heal layer after layer, and no matter how you feel about yourself, that you can learn to truly love yourself, and that is what we're talking about today. And I'm already sharing so many incredible stories through the interviews, but I wanted to deepen our connection. So I decided to record single episodes without video because that just makes me feel so much closer to you. And I just picture you and me sitting together with a cup of coffee and just talking about all the topics that we love, like talking about personal development, spirituality, mindset, and just like today about self-love and how we can embrace self-love more, how we can learn to deeply love ourselves. And my intention for these single episodes are that I'm just sharing all the tools and the things that help me on my journey of healing, of figuring out who I truly am and what I want my life to look like. So my intention is that this is the podcast that you turn to when you're having a hard time, when you feel lonely, or when you need support. That this podcast will help you to shift your energy when you're worried, fearful, or in doubt. And that after listening to an episode, you have the feeling of, yes, I can do this and I can get through this and I'm not alone. And that if you're having a good time and those times when you're just flowing with life and feeling so great, that during those times, this podcast will help you to make your heart set and mindset even better. So long story short, this is a new format that hopefully helps you and supports you and that just lights up your days. And as said, today we'll talk about self-love. And at the beginning, I want to talk about what healthy self-love actually is. Because sometimes I think there's a perception out there that self-love has to do something with narcissism or just thinking that you are kind of better than somebody else. And that's, for me at least, not what healthy self-love is. Healthy self-love for me is not selfish at all. It just means that you accept yourself just as you are in the current moment, with everything that you are going through, with all your current emotions, circumstances, strength, but also your weaknesses. It simply means that you appreciate yourself for the person that you are in the moment right now, that you treat yourself in a kind and compassionate way, and that you take care of your needs, and that you don't sacrifice your well-being to please others. And I want to share with you in this episode what helped me to learn to love myself more, which is an ongoing process. I want to be honest with you. There are days where I feel like I'm totally failing it. But if I look back to how I felt about myself 10 years ago, there's already such a huge journey, and I am so much more compassionate to myself. I learned to see myself more through kind eyes. So I want to share with you the things that helped me to appreciate myself more for the person that I am. And once again, this has nothing to do with narcissism or thinking or believing that I'm better or you're better, that we are better than anybody else. Actually, in my opinion, it's the total opposite. I feel that if we give ourselves the love that we are truly craving inside, that we are treating others so much nicer and kinder, and we can give from a place of feeling whole and feeling abundant. And that is why I think self-love is just such a key to having a happy and healthy and fulfilled life. So point number one in my eyes is self-compassion. And one expression of this self-compassion is a positive self-talk. Like that we think and talk nicely to and about ourselves. We have around 60,000 thoughts per day. And how many of these thoughts are positive? How many of these thoughts are caring? I think we're so often so hard on ourselves. And if I look back on my journey, it's almost like I bullied myself in my head. I always had a very supportive family, very supportive friends, people that I worked with, I always came along with very well. And still, I had myself as my worst enemy. So all of this love and support from the outside didn't really help or fill this void inside because I was to myself so mean. That's why I'm on the opinion that a true cornerstone of self-love is to treat yourself like your best friend or like a loving parent. And that doesn't mean that you need to allow yourself everything, because sometimes our parents pushed us to eat broccoli even though we wanted to have ice cream for dinner. So I think it's the perfect balance between pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, because in my opinion, this is self-love too, to take the steps to your dreams and to do the things that you're afraid of because you want to build that business or you want to have that loving relationship or whatever you desire. But then also notice when we are at our limit, or when it's time to take the foot off the gas and to slow down and to allow ourselves breaks and rest. So I think it's this balance of the two of them. And it's also that we allow ourselves to feel whatever we feel. That if we are sad, that we give ourselves permission to allow this sadness and to give ourselves however much time we need to heal. And especially in those moments when we are sad or when we're grieving or when it's a process of healing, then we have the standard to ourselves that we need to function and we need to be happy. And those are the times when we actually need the most our compassion and our own love and our own care. So I think a huge cornerstone of self-love is to think and to see ourselves through compassionate eyes. So what helps me in those moments when I'm so stuck in my head and when I'm noticing that I'm actually not treating myself nicely, I almost zoom out and almost look at myself from the outside. And this shift of not being so much in my body and in myself, but to shift the perspective and to look at myself from the outside, that truly helps me to notice where I'm so hard on myself. And that allows me also to shift to more kindness and to more compassion. And step number 2 in my opinion is to have healthy boundaries. I myself, as a very recovering people pleaser, know there's so many others out there who have this tendency to please others and who struggle to say no because we all want to be liked and we all want to be loved. And that's part of our primal brain because our primal brain is so afraid to be expelled from the tribe. And we still experience this in our modern society. So often we are so afraid to hurt the other person by saying no. And therefore we just say yes, even though we don't really want to do whatever the person asks us or whatever we are supposed to go to. And what we tend to forget in that scenario is that we hurt ourselves, that every time we do this, we're saying yes to the other person, but no to ourselves. And of course, that affects our self-love, because basically what we're saying to ourselves is that the other person is more important than we are, or that the other person's needs are more important than our own needs. And that is not really a true expression of loving ourselves. So what I'm not saying is that you should never do a favor to somebody else and that you should always put yourself first. There's, again, a fine line. And what I want you to learn is just to be aware of out of which energy are you doing this? Do you want to do a favor to the other person? And that is actually something that makes you happy too. Are you in a space and energy of wanting to give to the other person? Or do you actually want to say no? And are you in that kind of energy? And what's happening if you say yes, even though you are in this resentful energy, then you are actually resenting the other person. And that is neither doing a favor to you nor to the other person. So in those cases, actually being quote unquote selfish and saying no is a favor to the other person too. Maybe that helps you, that thought or that perspective shift, to next time say no when you feel like saying no. And yeah, just learn to feel into yourself out of what energy you're doing certain things, out of what energy are you committing to certain things. And if you have a tendency to just automatically say yes, which I used to have, what helped me a lot is that I started to say, I will just get back to you. Like, give me some time to think and I'll get back to you. And that gave me the space to feel into myself and ask myself, do I really want to do this? Or do I just feel obligated to do this? And if I just felt obligated to do this, but actually didn't want to, wanted to do something else with my time, or if I just felt like I needed a break and a day at home or an evening at home, then a thing that also helped me to say no to the other person without hurting the other person, because that's the least that we all want to do, is that I said, I'm not saying no to you, but yes to myself. And again, this perspective switch helped me tremendously to establish healthy boundaries. And again, all of this is work in progress for me as well. And it just all starts with awareness. And that's what I'm inviting you to right now, that you become more aware. Where are you allowing others, or maybe you yourself are like crossing boundaries that you're actually having and not listening to your own needs. And point number 3, to show yourself more self-love, is a huge one that I know so many of us struggle with, and it's the trap of comparison. Comparing ourselves to others is truly something that makes it so hard to truly love ourselves and to be proud of the person that we are, because it seems that there's always something better, somebody happier, more beautiful, more skinny, more rich, more successful, whatever it is that you are comparing yourself to right now. And first of all, the picture from the outside is mostly never what it looks like from the inside. So already you're kind of like putting yourself to a standard that is not even reality. And then I want you to understand that we're all on our own unique journeys. So if you want to compare yourself, and I know we all have the tendency to, then try to shift the comparison more to comparing yourself to the version you are yesterday. But I want us not in a sense to that you have to be better than yesterday, you have to achieve more, do more, because also here I have a very compassionate approach, and I want you to be compassionate with yourself. And I see growing and personal development not as becoming something better, but more as an unbecoming. So it's more an unlearning all the conditioning that we picked up in our childhood and throughout our school life. And I want you rather to see this comparison in a sense of, in what way am I today a little more my true authentic self than I was yesterday? So now let's talk about point number 4, which is self-care. And I know self-care is already such a huge buzzword out there, and so many see self-care as I'm putting a face mask on and some cucumber slices on my eyes, and now I'm putting care of myself. And it can absolutely look like this too. But to me, self-care goes so much beyond those 10, 30, maybe 60 minutes per week of doing some beauty routine to our body. To me, self-care is learning to listen to our body, to give it the sleep that it needs, to give it the breaks that it needs, to move even though we don't feel like moving, to stretch, to nourish it in a way that it feels good to ourselves, that we give ourselves more energy. But it's also to learn to what we truly need. So how much are we craving true, authentic connection with others? How much time do we need for ourselves? How much offline time do we need? How much do we need nature around us? Time for creativity. And again, to kind of like close the circle here. For me, this is not only allowing ourselves to take breaks, to slow down, which is a huge, huge component in our today's hustle, male energy world. But it's also to push ourselves a little bit. So for me, my personal growth is such an innate trait of mine. It's like a true need that I have, that I love to develop myself, to learn. Like learning is truly a need for myself. And sometimes the most loving thing I can do to myself is that I'm not watching Netflix, but that I'm doing a workshop instead. And yeah, again, that closes this loop to point number 1, that sometimes we need the broccoli to become who we're meant to be. So once again, sometimes it's the most loving move to allow ourselves to take a break, to do nothing. And sometimes we can show ourselves the most love by pushing ourselves, by getting ourselves a little bit more out of our comfort zone, by taking the step that we're so afraid of, but that we know that this will bring us one step closer to the life that we're actually dreaming of, the life that our heart truly desires. So like everything, it's a yin and yang, and intuitively we know exactly what to do. But unfortunately, we think that we need to do something and that we're not acting on this intuitive knowing or this true need that we're having. And in my opinion, acting on this need and just trusting our intuition and just fulfilling this need, that is true self-love. And I want to end this episode by giving you a question that has helped me a lot. And this question is, what would I do if I deeply loved myself? And the answer to that question can be simple choices such as, what am I having for breakfast? Or am I meditating today? But also big ones such as, will I stay in this toxic relationship? Or will I quit the job that I'm so unhappy with? And will I go and follow my dreams? And the more you do, whatever is the answer to that question, the more true self-love will develop from within. And that's where everything in life starts. So I will repeat once again those 4 ways that you can show yourself a little more love. And those are self-compassion, so just seeing yourself through kind eyes, healthy boundaries, so saying no when you feel no, that you stop comparing yourself to others and only compare yourself to who you were yesterday / how authentic you were and true you were to yourself yesterday or years ago. This is, as everything, an ongoing process. And point number 4 is self-care. And I want to leave you also with a question to think about, as basically all these points that I shared with you are what I think and feel, and my experience has shown me what self-care, what self-love actually is. And maybe ask yourself, what does self-love mean to you? How are you showing yourself true love? And yeah, that is it for today. I am so grateful that we spent this wonderful time together. I had such a blast sharing this with you. I would love to hear your feedback. So maybe send me a DM on Instagram. It's at @hannahwiz_. I will link it in the show notes. And I would love to hear, like, how did you like the new format? How did you like this episode? What does self-love mean to you? Do you have certain topics that you would love to learn more about, or just say hello? Whatever it is, I'm just so excited to hear from you. I'm so grateful for you to be here, to be part of this community, for you just walking this path and this journey to yourself, to your dreams, and you can be so proud of yourself for that. I am definitely proud of yourself, and I'm very, very grateful that I am part of this. So, yes, I'm sending you a huge hug, a big, big virtual hug, and so much love. I think I just love this, and I think you can feel how much love I have for you, and I just hope that you will give yourself the same love because you deserve it.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I would love to connect with you on a more personal level on Instagram at Empowering Vibez, where you will receive daily inspiration and more insights on how you can turn your dreams into reality. If you want to dive even deeper into becoming your best self and you would like my support, check out my website, empoweringvibez.com. Be sure to subscribe to Empowering Vibez so you don't miss a single episode. And if you like the show, share it with someone who's looking to live an extraordinary life. Thank you so much for being part of this beautiful community. I'm sending you so much love and a big, big hug. And never forget to shine your light.